Round 10, NRL Fantasy, absolutely bizarre. We still go through it, and I'm going to start this off as we're going to go through it. It's going to be really strange. Luke Brock's here first, 65 points. He was the opener. He killed it for Manly. Ewan Aitken scored a try, 61 points as well. If you've got Ewan Aitken, you're very, very happy there. Trey Fuller just keeps on keeping on. This guy is an absolute freak. Look, 6.4% ownership, 57 average, but you got Hamaso coming back very soon. So I'd be a bit worried about that. Waddell performed for people who own him. Kohler is very interesting. So his break even was around 48. He'll be around 450K next week. He will play fullback for Tommy Trbojevic for at least 7 weeks, is what I'm hearing. There still is that risk that Ruben Garrick takes that spot, but Kohler played there during the game, which makes me feel like he's probably going to keep that spot there. Herbie, I bought Herbie myself. Look, 47 points. That's fine. It was mostly base points. I'm very happy with that for him, with the bye schedule the Dolphins have. Then down the list, nothing too crazy. A lot of big scores here. A lot of guys in the 40 area. Max Plath, he copped a HIA in this game, so he was out. Still unconfirmed whether he passed that one, so we'll have to keep an eye on team list this week. Ruben Garrick had a shocker. Just wasn't his night for NRL Fantasy. Started well, but moved to the wing, and it wasn't great for him. And Jason Saab, worth noting, he'll be out for a little bit with a shoulder injury as well. Good next game here because it just keeps getting weirder for this round 10. Personally, I had a decent round. I put up about 848 points, moved into rank 394, so I'm pretty happy. But look, a lot of people had really bad rounds, even people with very good teams, just with bad luck. So keep an eye on that. Next game here, look, Luke Garner is the first guy we're going to talk about here. And Luke Garner has just randomly, absolutely randomly hit some crazy form here. He is a prototypical of round 10. So far, we've got Luke Brooks and Luke Garner as their top scorers in 2 games. Isaiah Yeo, 61 points. He is who he says he is. Same with Dylan Edwards, 58 points. Just rock solid here as well. If you're on Carraz, you're very happy with that 57-point game. The consolation try at the end was absolutely a Carraz special, but good on him. He plays hard right to the final whistle. Alamotti, it looks like Tungo's back next week, so Alamotti might slide out of the team. Keep an eye on that as well. And down the list here, look, Josh Curran, we talked about him a few weeks ago about how he's benefited from injuries quite a bit to start the year. Dogs at full strength means that he gets quite a few less minutes, so not worth jumping onto. Sam Hughes, it's time to say goodbye. Make that move, 400K. You've got plenty of money to play with there. That's a good one. Taylor May, absolutely shocking for us fantasy owners. Look, I didn't get on Taylor May, but I'm not blaming any of you guys. I was high on Taylor May with you. Unfortunately, he just hasn't converted any of that into fantasy production. Jamin Salmon, time to sell. I sold a couple of weeks ago, but look, Preston being back on the team and Preston getting a bit cheaper as well is going to spell the end of Jamin Salmon there. And then Liam Martin, he's going to get to a nice cheap spot, 14 points. Only played the 59 minutes. Actually, that's quite a few minutes for 14 points. So keep an eye on Liam Martin. The issue is he will play Origin as well. So it's probably a long-term play. All right, Eels and the Broncos. And I was down at this game in the rain. This was a pretty good game. Look, the Broncos look like they had it wrapped up for most of it, though. Dylan Brown cranked 77 points. Absolute monster. Payne Haas, 66 points. Reminded us who he is. He had a couple of nice runs. 9 tackle breaks is crazy. Nearly had that try assist as well with the offload, where he's looking like Andrew Fafita on that run. Bailey Simonson, 60 points. He's backed up a big score with another big score. Could be a pod for you there. I was uncertain about him on the wing, but 11 tackle breaks is really nice. Hopgood is Hopgood. Blaze Talangi, 57 points at center. He only has a few more weeks in him before Gutho comes back, so I wouldn't be buying him. But at the same time, if you held on to him, good on you. You've made a very good move there. Reece Walsh, 48 points, had that nice try in the game. Ryan Madison, he had a lower score, about 36, and he's bumped up to 44. So, again, you'll take that. At the price he's at, if you can keep that spot, you're very happy with that. Sean Lang ranked to 44 as well. Panasini, 39 points. Rogers, he won't be in for long, but 38 points is pretty solid from him. Then we'll get on the list. Sean Russell, 37. That's noteworthy. Ethan Sanders, you got on him. He got 33, but Moses will be back too soon to make that move. And then, oh my God, we got to talk about this. Brendan Piakura went from 11 to 8 at the last minute, just in the last hour or so. So yeah, I don't know what we do here. I mean, the stat line is a bit of a disaster, isn't it? Like, you look at this and you go, all right, 18 tackles, 6 missed tackles. You got the penalty as well with 43 meters run. We need to hold him because he's so cheap, but man, it's not been a great ride. The Piakura Express. Actually, it's more like a Piakura All Stops, isn't it? Because it's taking forever. Next game here, Knights and the Tigers. And again, someone different, right? Bradman Best. So we talked about Bradman Best about a month ago. Really good run of fixtures. I didn't pull the trigger, and I am so salty about it because he has been on fire. 99 points in this game. Look, the stat line, you got try assist, 3 line breaks, you got 11 tackle breaks, 235 meters run. He was just unstoppable in this game. Isaiah Papali is worth noting. So he started at lock. He moved to the edge pretty early in the game, though. 81 points, scored 2 tries, was fantastic. I wouldn't touch on Sullivan as much. Frizzell, not as much. Mazu is a nice price. 49 points back to his regular self. 7 tackle breaks in this game, 200 meters run. Scored the try as well. But Greggy Mazu, after the round 12 bye, so the Knights will play one more game this week and then they'll be on a bye. I'm looking at him very closely that week. Jaden Brayley's another one we've all got. Look, 48 points is great. 80 minutes. That's exactly what we signed up for. And then down the list, David Armstrong. He just keeps on lighting it up, doesn't he? This guy is an absolute freak. 42 points in this game. He's cranking out about a 40 average, 173 meters run, plenty of attacking stats. He is that guy. Galvin keeps on rolling with a 40. Atoka Manu, very disappointing if you got on him. Coruscant, another one, 32 points. Very, very disappointing for you there. Kai Pierce-Paul started on the bench in this game, so Dylan Lucas came in at the last minute. He played the second half. He scored 32 points in 40 minutes, which is a great production, but I think it was just a regulation rest from him. That's my feel on that. I think he'll be back in the starting side next week, but we'll have to wait and see. Dragons and the Rabbitohs and Jaden Sewer with the big 66. Look, this guy's a bit of a beast. He's around that 50 average every year. He is a risk to play Origin, though, so he is a Queenslander. He's in very good form. He could easily be in that team with his mate Ben Hunt, who, again, keeps on popping out pretty good scores. Damien Cook's on the watch list for a while. He's getting cheaper and cheaper, and that break even, 70 points. He'll get a little bit cheaper again. Look, I think he could be one of those guys who, theoretically, he probably doesn't make the Origin team at this point, right? Doesn't kick the ball much, but he makes his tackles, he makes his runs. If South Sydney can get it back together, if he can play 80 minutes, then Damien Cook is worth 800k plus. So he could be one of those guys we target. Jack DeBellin, yep, he's going. He's got that try. Latrell Mitchell comes back with a 52. Lot of fluky attacking stats in that one. So I'm not fully trusting him yet. 116 meters isn't exactly what you want to see. So give him a couple of weeks to get warm, and then he might make Origin anyway. Zach Lomax keeps on firing, 50 points. He's been a bit of a beast this year. Jacob Little, up and down season, but this was a bit of an up week, and last week was as well. So if you're on him, you're pretty happy. Flanagan, we all sold, but he got a 44 just to rub it in on us. And then down the list, for South Sydney, Havili played 40 minutes, scored 36 points. I'm actually quite interested in this middle rotation for South because he played that role. And then if I go down the list here, Duncan played 37 and got 29 points. So they seem to be splitting that lock spot. I was kind of hoping that one of them would emerge as a more dominant owner of that position, but it looks like a timeshare. Cody Walker, 34 points. Look, I was looking at Cody Walker, 321 kick meters here. So he really dominated the kick meters in this game, and he was the dominant half, but just didn't get any of his regular attacking stats and didn't do much for us in fantasy. So I was considering him, and I'm glad I didn't pull the trigger on that one. Eisenhuth back to earth with 30 points after his monster last week. Tiapa, look, 26 points. It's not enough really to get out of bed for us. And yeah, that included 25 tackles. No kick meters at all. Don't do it. Don't do it. If South Sydney are on fire, we'd consider it. But if not, well, we know it's not. Then we're not going to do it. Jack White and 16 points. Look, he's getting pretty cheap. And that's where my eyes are at, right? So if he gets cheap enough and then maybe moves to the halves or South Sydney figure it out, Jack White could be one of those guys we have a look at that point. Storm and the Sharks, and this was a cracker. This was a really good game. You obviously had a few things with Pappenhausen being out. You had Jerome Hughes out. You had Nico Hines at the last minute stepping out as well. And I want to highlight a few players here because I had a few guys in this game. I last minute pivoted to this guy, Dan Atkinson. Just looking at the role that Nico plays, looking at the fact that they didn't bring in another specialist half in, and they went, hey, we'll run Brayley at half and we'll run McInnes at hooker. All I thought there was he's going to eat up kick meters and he'll be that dominant half. I didn't expect 62. I thought he was going to get maybe a 45, something like that. 62 is special because the goal kicking as well, that added 8 points, 538 kick meters. It's just massive. And they won the game, right? So he's earned a lot of trust from that Cronulla team. If you had Wishart, you were just as happy, right? 65 points. A lot of you guys are on him. He's got that half and wing fullback eligibility too. He's a stud, man. He's got to get somewhere for a first grade spot soon. Eli Katoa, 63 points, scored the try. Look, as an owner, I'm very happy with this too. I would love a slightly higher base from him. I know he has it in him, but the Storm games have been pretty sort of up and down over recent weeks. And then Oregon Kafusi just keeps on turning up. Look, I don't believe it. I just can't believe it. 60 minutes in this game. I don't think it's going to continue. I think McInnes goes back to lock and the minutes dry up. McInnes scored 58. Nakora, 50 points as well. If you got in that pod, you're pretty happy there. He's getting a little too expensive for you if you wait much longer. Munster, 48, not before Origin. Sean Bloor, again, 73 minutes. We don't like that little rest at the end, but he keeps getting it. That's fine, though. 45 points, you can live with that. Down the list, look, Talakai. I wish he'd stop scoring tries because if he got a bit cheaper, he'd be very interesting as a guy if he ever steps back into that center spot. Harry Grant caught the sin bin, scored 34 points. And oh, wow. That one, yeah, look, there's a lot of other people talking about that call and whether that's a sin bin. So I'm not even going to touch it. But it's a rough one for his fantasy owners. Look, 34 points. You got a game where you made 43 tackles and got 34 points. It's not great. It's really not great. It's probably time to sell Harry Grant. And look, I'm a Reece Robson owner myself. So I wasn't on the Grant train, but I thought that over this last month of footy, he would turn it up and make me regret not owning him. He hasn't. So look, no heat on you guys if you held on to him. I think it was a smart move to make. It just didn't work out. Kyle Arrow, 30 points, bit quieter for him, but still a nice base, 150 meters, 15 tackles, all that sort of thing. So he's pretty rock solid. Blake Brayley playing in the halves, 26 points is not ideal, especially with no kick meters either. Down the list, Asofa Solomon is getting pretty cheap. That was a 20-point game. A lot of people got on Fair-Longo. Look, 19 points is not ideal for him, and that included a line break in this game, 4 tackle breaks, 143 meters. Just not a great stat line, not that fantasy production you'd hope for there. And then Will Kennedy, 18 points. He's getting really, really cheap. So at some point, I might have a look at him if he's about 300K. Sione Katoa. So Eli Katoa went great. Sione Katoa scored 6 points. Not ideal for him. All right, rolling into next set of games here. So we've got the Roosters on Sunday up against the Warriors. And this was a crazy game. So Dom Young started this game hot and just kept on rolling in this one. 84 points, absolutely massive. We had a chat about him last week. He's that rocks or diamonds kind of guy where there's plenty of attacking opportunities outside Manu and on that Roosters team, but he doesn't have the base stats. So you're going to get this 84, but then you might get a 10-point game next week. You have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with the fact that he's going to be, let's say, a 40, 45, 50 average, depending on how the season goes. And you're going to get that in spurts of 80 point, 20 point, 50 point, 10 point, whatever it is sort of runs. So keep an eye on that. But for this game, look, 5 line breaks, 2 tries, 250 meters run, 9 tackle breaks. Just absurd. Gus Crichton, he was my vice captain. A lot of you guys had him as vice captain as well. Look, 77 points is fantastic. So with Nico Hines pulling out, that was a really good vice captain for a lot of us. Down the list, Fanua Blake saved his day with a little consolation try at the end. It would have been a really rough one to talk about if not for that. James Tedesco, 59 points. It was a game where they ran riot, and he did too. So 59 is sort of what you'd expect from Teddy in that game. Connor Watson played 73 minutes in this one, was the starting hooker and played most of the game at hooker. 56 points again. He just keeps on producing. Obviously, Brandon Smith was out for this game. Sam Walker, 53. You'd hope for a bit more with the attacking involvements he had. So I'm a little disappointed with that one. I thought he might have cracked on a bit more because you got 5 goals, a try, 2 try assists. There was enough there for him to do a bit better than this, I thought. Nickel Clockstad grabbed the try, saved his day, got 49 points. That was pretty sweet. Terrell May, 46 in 38 minutes is absurd. If you still have him, you are cheering. Joey Manu, look, 40 points. It could have been a lot more. There are a few plays where he might have scored a big point try kind of thing where you get into the 60s or something like that. So I wouldn't worry too much if I was a Joey Manu owner. Tohu Harris, though, this is a rough score, 38 points. You pay big money for a guy in the middle. and he doesn't perform. But the middle spot has been frustrating for everyone, so I wouldn't worry too much if I was on Tohu yet. Wade Egan came from the bench in this game, scored 28 points. That's a bit of a disaster. We'll see how he goes next week. Sean Johnson in some doubt for some time now, actually. He's picked up a little bit of a chest sort of pec injury, something like that. 25 points is not ideal. He played most of the game, but they just sort of got stomped by the Roosters in this one. So if you have Sean Johnson, you're probably going to be selling him pretty soon, is my guess. And then down the list, look, Sandon Smith, at some point, if he ever gets a starting half spot, these sorts of games where he scores no points are good for us because he gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So just keep an eye on that because he's a really talented guy. Last game here, the Titans and the Cowboys. And this was a tale of two halves, wasn't it? So you had a 20-0 lead early on to the Titans. And then you moved into a second half where the Cowboys sort of ramped up and went 20-18. Val Holmes nearly had that try as well. So they easily could have won that game. But they didn't. And the Titans deserved it, right? They deserved that win, and it's reflected by these fantasy scores here. So Dave Fafita, 75 points in this game. Another dummy half try. He just cannot be stopped from dummy half. 65 average is absolutely crazy. If you've been captaining him, you're absolutely cheering. This would have been the pod of all pods. I didn't do it because the origin period came up and I had a bunch of edges already. But oh my God, he's been awesome. He's been so good. Brimson turned it up as well. 66 points, huge game. One downside is he picked up a bit of a hammy injury. He came off early in this game. So keep an eye on that. He might not be right for next week. That's the tough thing. But if you got on Brimson, you got some really big scores out of him. Cleese Haas, 60 points, 80 minutes, rock solid. Jojo Fafita also turned it up, but no one's on him. Griffin Neem, 59 points in about 40 minutes is pretty massive. He's a bit of a beast in this one. More noteworthy is Ruben Cotter, 58 points. So he's been on a tear lately, absolutely on a tear. He's getting his price up to a really nice spot because we're all going to be selling him for the origin period. So ride him for 2 more weeks, and then you'll be selling Ruben Cotter. Bo Firma, better game from him. Look, 620K, that's about what he's worth in my mind, so I'm not as interested. 70 minutes for Jolliffe, 50 points. What can we say? Right? This guy just keeps on turning up. He is that guy. Kieran Foran copped an injury as well, so keep an eye on that. Reece Robson, 44 points. It's not ideal. He was looking pretty good early and just sort of cooled off. You got a game where he had 46 tackles, but a couple of misses and not a lot of fun stats. No offloads, no tackle breaks, no attacking stats. Then down the list here, Tamalolo back to a bit of form here, but I just don't trust the injury history. Halem Lukey, 35 points. He's going to get a bit cheaper. What's his 54 break even? Yeah, so he's going to drop about 25K. He's an interesting price where I would actually vaguely consider it, but I prefer Tolotau Kola. McKaylee, 26 minutes, 34 points. This guy, he turns minutes to points like no one else in the league. Look, that feels like his biggest minute count in terms of what we're going to see this year, unless there are injuries. So we had Jordan McLean out for this game. McKaylee moved to the starting side. Still not as many minutes as I would hope for from him. So I'm going to be skipping McKaylee. But if you get on him, he's going to slowly make money for you and be really good through the origin period, I think. Scott Drinkwater, 28 points. Not good for Drinkwater buyers. Again, I got on Herbie this week as my big money back, but I was pretty high on Drinkwater as well. I was pretty high on him. I thought he'd be good. I thought Dom Young would be good. You had sort of a mixture of results here. Drinkwater was quiet. I would hang on to him, though. If you got Drinkwater, 239 run meters, just didn't get those attacking stats, and he was very close quite a few times, so I wouldn't stress it. Finapuyaki, 21 and 27 minutes, must sell. Get rid of him. Keokini, another 18-point game. The 18-point average is rock solid for him. He'll be out pretty soon, though. I'd say Jaden Campbell surely back imminently. And then nothing else too crazy to report. We had some injuries, so Sammy's obviously out for a bit. But that's the Titans and the Cowboys. So look, hopefully it was a good week for you. Hopefully you rose up the ranks or at least didn't lose too many. I'd be thinking now about the origin period and the bye period. We're going to talk a lot about that in coming weeks, where you can really make up some big ranks very quickly if you make some smart moves. So I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully it was a good week. Peace out, everyone.